News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
One government agency blames another for a massive wastewater spill. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. Congratulations, you made it. It's Friday, October 23rd, 2015. Right now, the sky's clear. We've got 32 degrees. Our newscast this morning, sponsored by Automotive Cutting Edge. It's time to winterize. Lube oil and filter change, just $30 through the month of October. Call Automotive Cutting Edge at 542-2218. Government investigators squarely blame the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for a 3 million-gallon wastewater spill from a Colorado gold mine, saying a cleanup crew rushed its work and failed to consider the complex engineering involved, triggering the very blowout it hoped to avoid. The Interior Department probe concludes that the spill that fouled rivers in 3 states would have been avoided had the EPA team simply checked on water levels before digging into the mine. The Associated Press obtained the investigation's findings on the August 5th spill prior to their public release on Thursday. The 132-page report has implications across the United States where hundreds of thousands of abandoned mines have yet to be cleaned up. Missoula police have a man in custody who reportedly tried to stab 2 people late Wednesday. A Missoula Police Public Information Officer Travis Welsh has more.
About 11:30, officers were called to report of a disturbance in the 500 block of North Higgins. Once there, they were directed toward a male walking eastbound from that location, who was eventually identified as Patrick Ramirez. He's 45 years old.
Welsh said that there were no injuries in the incident.
Apparently, there was some dispute over money and an ID card, and Mr. Ramirez was said to have attempted to stab 2 people with scissors. There were no injuries as a result. Mr. Ramirez was taken into custody without incident.
Ramirez was charged with 2 counts of felony assault with a weapon. He'll be appearing in justice court today. Logging projects in northwest Montana have resumed and are expected to provide millions of dollars to school trust beneficiaries under a recently approved settlement over grizzly bear protection. The Missoulian newspaper reports that an estimated 14 million board feet of timber will be harvested in the Coal Creek and Stillwater State Forest near Whitefish. The proceeds of any timber sales on those lands will go towards schools and other endowed institutions. The timber projects are now allowed because of a settlement agreement between the Montana Department of Natural Resources and several environmental groups. A U.S. District Court judge approved the settlement on October the 9th. More Missoulians are reporting scam calls these days. Missoula County Sheriff's Office Public Information Officer Brenda Bassett describes one recent case.
We actually had received a message yesterday from a resident in the area, and she said she had received 3 phone calls in the last 2 days. Basically, the caller had an Indian accent. He told her that her computer was at risk and asked to gain remote access to her computer. She said that she wanted to be taken off the call list.
The same caller called back twice more with some specific requests.
We told her to go to tools and settings, and she started to question him. He didn't know what operating system she was using or really even what the problem was, and luckily didn't give him remote access. A lot of people don't know, but you can get a lot of personal information from people if you give people remote access.
Bassett warns a lot of harm can be done with anyone who has remote access to your computer. It could be used for identity theft. On a personal note, I received a similar call. I just began laughing out loud until they hung up. A Great Falls boy who suffered life-threatening injuries when he was struck by a car while riding his bicycle remains in the hospital. The Great Falls Tribune reports the 12-year-old boy was taken to the hospital Tuesday after he was struck near the Paris Gibson Square Museum of Art. Officer Katie Cunningham said charges are unlikely in the crash because the driver had the right of way. She says the car was traveling at a slow rate of speed because the light had just turned green when the boy crossed the street right in front of the driver. Cunningham said the boy was not wearing a helmet at the time of the crash. Some major issues will be decided in the mail-in election for which ballots were mailed out earlier this month. Elections Supervisor Rebecca Connors says a healthy number of ballots have already been turned in.
We've issued over 50 ballots, and so far we've seen 13,000 of those come back, and that's about 25% of the ballots issued. Overall, since we have about 73,000 registered voters within the districts that are holding elections, it's about 18% turnout so far.
Connors speculates on the overall voter turnout by Election Day, November 3rd.
We'd love to have 100% voter turnout, but we realize there's those who do not participate in elections for whatever reason. And so, for a big election like this, 45 to 55% is reasonable.
The ballots contain city council decisions in all 6 wards and various school bond issues, including a combined $158 million request from Missoula School District 1. Various members of Western Montana law enforcement agencies will be taking part in tomorrow's Tip a Cop program at the Red Robin Restaurant to raise funds for the Montana Special Olympics. Sergeant Mark Horner with the Missoula Police Department said the event will go from 11 to 4 in the restaurant's Southgate Mall location and will include personnel from the County Sheriff's Office and the Montana Highway Patrol, assisted by Special Olympics athletes.
We basically help the wait staff. Most of our duties are cleaning tables and refilling water and drinks and whatnot. We don't touch any of the food, but our main priority is speaking with the public, informing them of what Special Olympics is and what it means, and just kind of make them aware.
Horner said the public also gets a benefit from the Tip a Cop program.
It's a nice way of talking one-on-one with the public, and they get to see that you're not always just handcuffing somebody, but you can also clean a pretty good dirty table. We're slow on getting them the drink. We'll hear about it. It's the one time somebody gets to tell a cop what to do.
Patrons will be asked to leave a small tip that'll benefit the Montana Special Olympics program. A landowner group is objecting to a deal that would enable the coal companies seeking bankruptcy reorganization to renew a Wyoming mine permit despite not meeting the state's reclamation bonding requirements. The Powder River Basin Resource Council says the agreement falls short of securing the almost $200 million that would be needed to reclaim Alpha Natural Resources' Eagle Butte mine near the town of Gillette. State officials say the agreement will help keep the mine operating. And the state health department is trying to determine the best way to spend a $250,000 appropriation to help prevent suicide among Native American youth. The agency is asking tribes how they'd like to see the money spent. The tribes have until November 10th to submit final recommendations. The Montana Suicide Review Team says 21 Native Americans in Montana completed suicide last year. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Comfortable fall-like weather settles in today through the weekend with high temperatures staying in the mid-50s. Overnight lows will drop into the upper 20s to low 30s. Our next chance of rain arrives Sunday. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13.